Welcome to Telling Our Stories. My name is Josh Johnson with Regency On The Lake. I relocated to Davidson, North Carolina, the Lake Norman area, in October of 2024. We started telling our stories so you, our viewers and listeners, can connect with our clients in the communities that we are a part of, from Western North Carolina to the Charlotte area. Welcome to the show, and we hope you enjoy this episode. All right, my name is Josh Johnson with Regency on the Lake, and we are here today with Liz Brigham, the Executive Director of the Hurt Hub in Davidson, North Carolina. And she has joined me today for this episode of Telling Our Stories. And that's what we plan on doing. And Liz, this is our first time actually meeting.
Yes.
Have several mutual friends now. And everybody's like, you've got to have Liz on. And I mean, she has a story to tell, and she can talk about the Hurt Hub and all things Davidson as well. But we chatted a little here just before the episode, and the things you've shared with me already are very intriguing and have my wheels turning on a lot of different things. But thank you for being here, and tell us a little about yourself, and you kick it off. And like I say, this is totally unscripted and raw, which I love because I think it's more authentic. So we'll see where it goes. And, you know, I'm glad you're here with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. And I know as I've been in this role longer, you know, I thought I kind of had known a lot of people at Davidson because you've been in Charlotte for a little bit. You know, Davidson Mafia sort of runs deep around here. Davidson family, whatever you choose. But I keep meeting such interesting people through Robbie or through someone like Will Brawley or Jamie Brown or others who are really movers and shakers in Charlotte. And so it's just really a pleasure to meet you. Yeah. I know we also have a mutual friend in Mike Orlando. I heard that on one of your previous episodes. Mike and I went to Davidson together. We were very fortunate to have the same scholarship together. And I always like to say that I used Mike as a visual aid in one of my classes. So I was taking a music class, and he's a very talented mandolin player. And I was doing a project on the mandolin, and so I had him come in and play for that. So anyway, so I love that you have those connections. Obviously, Bob McKillop, who's a mentor of mine. Chris Clooney, really good friend. Matt McKillop, good friend. So it's lovely that you're here and you've found a home, it sounds like, in Davidson.
Yeah, I love it. And actually, Mike was one of the first guys that I met. I went in, called him up, and I said, hey, I'm a new kid on the block. Let's get together and chat. And he said, yeah, come by the office. And he's a real estate guy like me.
Yep.
And better musician than I, for sure. I have a little bit of talent, but not good enough to perform.
Okay.
But he is awesome. And he actually had developed land up in Ashe County as well, where I came from. So, I mean, we hit it off good, and obviously had our kickoff event there at Flatiron, which he's an owner of as well. But yeah, Mike's great. Obviously, Chris Clooney and Matt and Bob, I've met them. And even Kim Fleming, Jamie Justice, everybody I've met has been like amazing, had super good things to say about you. But Davidson has definitely, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you know, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew I had some connections.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'm like, just for round numbers, if I thought I had 10, I had 150.
Yeah.
So it's been like coming back home in essence. I mean, it's really been seamless.
Yeah.
And very easy transition. And I mean, honestly, I shared this with Kim. We were at Kindred having brunch the other day. Actually had some friends that were looking at possibly opening up a retail venue in Davidson. And I shared with Kim, I said, Kim, it's crazy to say this, but I feel I was born and raised in the mountains of North Carolina. My family's been there for years. Obviously, I left for college, traveled the world, came back there just because it was home.
Yeah.
But I said, I feel as much at home in Davidson as I did in my true, like, roots home, which is to be here. I moved in October of 2024. And I think that just speaks to the place that Davidson is and the people that live there, because it's volumes. I mean, you know, just how the community works, which I know you are a huge part of, and how people really value things that I think our society as a whole has kind of lost
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, I understand why North Carolina is one of the top states in the country where everybody's moving to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and some people say it's a Southern hospitality.
Mm,
I mean, I think that's a piece of it, but
sure.
I mean, we've got businesses coming like crazy,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you can hit
Yes.
on as
Yeah.
well. But it is the people. And I think it's more than Southern hospitality. I mean, the people are just so genuine, real.
Yeah.
And somebody the other day said they have an abundant, like, way of thinking.
Mm,
And it's not, you know,
yeah.
my game, your game,
Yeah.
it's our game.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I love the most about being in Davidson. But
Yeah. Yeah, you said it's like coming home. I mean, so I went to Davidson, class of '04, go Cats,
mhm,
appreciate the hat.
yep,
But I grew up in St. Louis in a very tight-knit community, was raised by, I like to say, a bunch of very social justice-minded nuns in the Sacred Heart
mhm,
tradition. And one of my core values that comes from them is a social awareness which impels to action.
mhm,
So it's not just enough to know about what's going on in your community, but you actually have to go do something.
correct.
And I've used that as almost a mantra as I've been back at the Hurt Hub and leading that. But to, when I first left St. Louis and was looking at colleges, I knew I wanted to go to a really small school. I had come from a small school environment and was really looking for that connection, those
Mhm,
relationships, as I know are big for you,
mhm,
between faculty and students and students and staff and all that. And honestly, I didn't even Davidson really wasn't on my map, but we had a family friend who was at Davidson and we were flying out of Charlotte looking at some other schools. And my mom said, you know what, let's just go. Let's
mhm,
just go take a tour and see. I said, oh, okay. That first tour, and I know I've said this to Robbie and others before, Elizabeth Brantley, who's a wonderful Charlottean, was my tour guide.
mhm,
Never forget that. She was class of '01. She sold it hard to me, and I think I was there 3 times, before I even matriculated. And then, as I mentioned before, I was very fortunate to win the, Dean Terry Scholarship, which
mhm,
was a full scholarship to school. But what was most important was Dean Terry was the, former dean of students, and it was almost like he was my second grandfather, and he
mhm,
would have us over once a month to his home. He cooked the meal.
mhm,
Man in his 60s,
mhm,
retired,
mhm.
sweet tea out of a bucket in the garage.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was you came and you dipped your solo cup and you took it to the dining room table.
Yeah.
But he had such a vast network. He would invite over like former ambassadors to China or the CEO of Duke Energy.
Mhm,
He would take me to see shows at the Blumenthal. It was just this wonderful opportunity to break bread around a table and get exposed to so many different types of people from
mhm,
all walks of life. And so when I came back to the Hurt Hub after a 16-year career in tech, we've lived all over the country. I did a stint in Paris. We can talk a little bit about when you're in that software world. And I've lived the Silicon Valley life. I've been in Portland, Oregon. We've been in Chicago. I've worked for big companies, small companies, startups, all of that. Coming back to kind of restart the Hurt Hub in the middle of COVID, October of 2020, I kept thinking back to, well, what would Dean Terry do? How do I bring that same aspect of access and
mhm,
exposure to these amazing people? And they
mhm,
don't necessarily need to have those highfalutin titles or have done all these different things.
mhm.
You can find learning, I feel like, in any conversation that
Correct.
you have with
Mhm,
someone. And so that was kind of the spirit that I was trying to bring to the Hurt Hub to imbue in that community. And everything that we do goes back to that social awareness, which impels to action. And as you get to know me, I have all these sayings, but my other one is that empathy is currency.
mhm,
And currency, a lot of times people associate that with transactions,
mhm,
but I'm a word nerd. I
mhm,
love etymology. I took Latin for way too many years.
mhm,
The origin of the word currency actually stems from the word currere, which means to run. So if you think
okay.
about current, or I think empathy is the current, that electricity or the water, that runs between people.
Mhm,
And so kind of pulling together all of those thoughts of how I had chosen to lead teams in the past 20 years, plus my upbringing, in the Sacred Heart community and Dean Terry's dinners, like that is what I've tried to mold and craft the Hurt
mhm.
Hub after.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Empathy is currency.
yeah.
And something that I kind of live by that's similar is when compassion is activated, virtue flows.
Mm,
And,
I love that.
empathy is kind of compassion as well.
Right.
And similar,
Yeah.
I think, very
Yeah.
similar. And the virtue and the currency, it's kind of similar there. But
Yeah.
that's something I've always lived by is when compassion's activated, virtue flows. And that is in my business. Obviously, I do real estate for a living.
Yeah.
Without people,
Mhm.
I have no business.
Right.
And without homes, I have no business.
Yeah.
But it's not a house that makes
Mm.
a home,
Mhm.
it's the people that make the home.
That's right.
And being empathetic to their needs and compassionate to help them. And then in return, that is not like what drives me. I mean, what drives me is being involved in the communities that I'm in,
Yeah.
live and work and play in.
Yeah.
Because for me to be able to help anybody want to be somewhere, I have to believe in it.
Yeah.
And, I've been fortunate enough in my career to live and be in areas where that was very easy,
Yeah. Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
the people were so great. But being a part and giving back to the communities is like super, super, super. That's what makes me tick.
Yeah.
And I know you're similar from what I've been told
Yeah.
from everybody. And just for our viewers that do not know what the Hurt Hub is,
Yeah.
if you can give us kind of like a snapshot, concise, like this is what we do. This is why we're called the Hurt Hub.
Yeah.
Because people
Yeah. I
ask
know
me a
people
lot, they're
ask. Yeah.
like, the Hurt Hub? What's
Yeah.
the Hurt Hub?
Right.
So
Yes.
give us a little snapshot on that.
Sure. So the official name is the J. Hurt Hub
Mm-hmm.
for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at
Mm-hmm.
Davidson College. J. Hurt is our primary donor
Mm-hmm.
to the program, although we have a long list. We're been blessed by a lot of generosity in the community, not just alumni, but others. But Jay was an entrepreneur, ran a number of different businesses. In 2014, the college procured the property, which
Mm-hmm.
was an 100-year-old textile mill,
Okay.
and everything from book binding facility to shoelace manufacturing had gone on in that facility. And that is very similar to everything in and around Charlotte and,
Mm-hmm.
and into South Carolina as well. You see a lot of these buildings that have kind of fallen into disrepair, and
Mm-hmm.
we took it over, gutted the building, opened in 2018, and then I came in October of 2020, and my predecessor Julie Goff did a great job of setting everything up, but then COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
and we really had to start over from scratch. So when I came in, my background is in new product development, new business development, product marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy is currency.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to, we interviewed 150 people,
Okay.
and that was across all of what we say is our faces of innovation. So faculty, alumni, co-working members, entrepreneurs, students, and staff. We said, who are we? What is entrepreneurship in a place that doesn't have a business school? What is
Mm-hmm.
it at the intersection of liberal arts education? And what we came out of all of that research was our core values of freedom. And we always like to say we're not afraid of the F word, and
Mm-hmm.
the other F word is failure.
Mm-hmm.
But so the freedom to fail, the freedom to succeed, integrity is our expectation, which
Mm-hmm.
ties back to the Davidson Honor Code, which I bleed honor code. It is
Mm-hmm.
in me, and that's so important that we have that focus on integrity. And inclusion is really the foundation of everything that we do,
Mm-hmm.
because for a number of different reasons, entrepreneurship, not everybody's had access to the main things that we offer:
Mm-hmm.
educational programming, mentorship, access to capital, access to a space in
Mm-hmm.
the co-working space, and access to consulting or advising. And those are the things that we really focus on providing to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very unique insofar as these different programs across the country. There are many entrepreneurship programs at other colleges and universities. There are very few that have the deliberate connection bridging campus and community.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we provide educational programs, but it's important because we have a 20-year-old sitting next to a 47-year-old, in the same room, learning at the same time, the same material, but there's a lot of mentorship going on just by the fact of
The
through
interaction.
right the
Mm-hmm.
interaction and that osmosis in the room and the energy being exchanged. And so through all of those programs, we give away over $100,000 a year in grants to students and the community. Really, that first check,
Mm-hmm.
they're looking to start a new business, expand an idea. We focus a lot on that, but you can't just cut that check. You
Correct.
have to have mentors. You have to have consulting services, which we offer. And then the co-working space. So we're now one of the largest, if not the largest, co-working space in Greater Charlotte. So we have over 250 members, about 160 businesses that are headquartered or have some sort of, relationship and membership inside of our building.
Okay.
So we always say we celebrate purposeful serendipity.
Mhm.
Another
Yeah,
one of my
yeah.
sayings, because you never know who you're going to bump into when you're getting a Summit coffee, which is another great
Mhm.
Davidson alumni owned business, in our social commons. So, what we do is we bring people together to provide them again that access and exposure to innovation and entrepreneurship through all of those aspects of educational programming, mentorship, space, access to capital, and consulting.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, and again, this is another piece of Davidson
that's right.
that makes it so special, and
Yeah,
the college being the root
yeah,
again as well.
yeah,
And I mean, I've said it before, I said without the college and Davidson may not be exactly what it is.
sure.
I mean, and
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say.
yeah.
I mean, the town has kind of built around the college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I will say I go back to Kim Fleming
Mhm.
and Rusty, but Kim in particular, she interviewed me. So
Mhm.
I've known Kim the entire time I've been in this role.
Mhm.
She has believed in us from the beginning. She was on our board,
Mhm.
and she was the one who gave us the opportunity to apply for a grant to provide educational programming, workforce development, and pro bono consulting to all businesses in
Mhm.
Main Street in Davidson and aspiring entrepreneurs. So we ran a pilot for the first year this was going back 3 years now through that grant, and it was so successful that now we are a part of the town's budget.
And that's
So,
awesome.
you come to us, you as well,
Mhm.
as an entrepreneur and a
Mhm.
business owner in the town, you have access to working with our very talented students in a pro bono consulting capacity or with my very talented team. I've got a team of 14 people who I've been really fortunate to recruit from every single industry background, multiple time entrepreneurs. I've got people who have social work backgrounds who were on stage at Second City in Chicago doing improv. That's the
Mhm.
breeding ground for Saturday Night Live.
Mhm.
All of this wonderful mixture of experiences and diversity, perspectives and all of that
Mhm.
that as a resident and or a business owner in the town you have access to.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And Kim, I will say too,
Yeah.
I give her a shout out all the time. I mean, she is amazing.
Yeah.
One of the first people I sat down with when I moved in October of 2024 down here.
Yeah.
And I mean, our conversation then has blossomed into so much since then.
Yeah.
But I mean, she is, I mean, you meet these people in life
Yeah.
and you know immediately
Yeah.
she's special or
Yeah.
he's special.
Yeah.
And like, you need to like foster this relationship.
Yeah.
She is one of those folks. And talking about entrepreneurship, and I kind of shared this with you
Yeah.
like before we came in.
Uh-huh.
I was the kid in school that was bored.
Mhm.
Grades were not hard, but I was
Yeah.
bored
Yeah.
and it was hard to keep me engaged.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to just go work
Yeah.
versus do school. So obviously I jumped in, straight out of college. I came from a family, it's like you have to have a college degree. If I
Right.
wouldn't have came from that family, probably would have not
Mhm.
ended up in college.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so, geared into work. I mean, for me, it was either military
Mm.
or Christian school because I didn't want to go party.
Yeah.
I wanted to get in and out as
Yeah.
quickly as possible, and I wanted to go do something.
Mhm.
I was more of a doer than a
Yeah.
talker or listener.
Yep.
And the older I've got, I've learned that it's better
Sure.
to be a listener and observer more so than a doer
Sure.
sometimes. But
Mhm.
I've kind of had to learn a lot of things through the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
And, having something like the Hurt Hub, if I'd had that when I was in my early 20s, starting out would have been amazing.
Yeah.
I have been fortunate enough to have some great folks that were started as clients that
Mhm.
became mentors and examples of, successful businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, one that I think of right offhand is Mark Vanoy with Vanoy Construction.
Mm.
I mean,
I don't know Mark, I don't think.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's a great guy,
Okay.
but I mean, Vanoy Construction, if you don't know who they are, I'm sure you've heard of them, but
Mhm.
Lowe's kind of put them on the map,
Yeah.
Lowe's Hardware.
Yeah.
They've built in 43 states, probably more now.
Mm.
That's the last number I've heard.
Oh,
But
wow.
large commercial builder. But I grew up next door to Mark,
Hmm.
and I was in between his sons in age.
Okay.
And we grew up riding four-wheelers together, Rocky and I did,
Yeah.
and, just hanging out and being kids.
Yeah.
But Mark became a client. We actually became business partners in a traditional real estate company,
Mm.
and great friends really
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot from Mark just by observing.
Yeah.
And, you know, having those types of relationships, I mean, even I mentioned to you, I've sat down with Bob McKillop,
Yeah. Yeah.
and did a little podcast episode with him. And I totally felt like unqualified, first of all, to,
Yeah.
to per se be the
Yeah.
host. And then secondly, I just wanted to be like writing notes. I mean, I've watched that episode myself probably 5 times
Right.
afterwards, and I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll be something I go to the rest of my life,
Mm-hmm.
because you get these little bits and pieces of wisdom,
Yeah.
just by listening and observing. And I mean, I mentioned Mark and Bob, but I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have several folks like that. I mean, Mark and Will Atkins, who own the
Yeah.
Waterfront Group.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've known them for years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, had lunch with them a couple weeks ago, and it's funny. I went into their office, and they were having a little company meeting, and they said, "You got to come in here." And first thing they say is, "We were with this youngin' when he was cutting his teeth."
Right.
And they had a bunch of young guys in there
Yeah.
still, and
Yeah.
all of them wanted to come and talk to me
Yeah.
then, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, these are the guys."
Right.
But it's unique. I guess I say it's the school of hard knocks. It wasn't super hard,
Yeah.
but I've had to learn some lessons.
Sure.
And, I think it's key. And it's funny how life changes and you go through these
Mm-hmm.
seasons and then you look back and you're like, well, if I'd have done that different.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's those things that make you who you are
That's right.
today.
Yeah.
And the one constant that I can see, I my top three things in life: God, family, work.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to work, the constants I see is relationships.
Yeah.
And the relationships that I have and develop and nurture
Mm-hmm.
are so key.
Yeah.
And to real estate, one of my greatest mentors, her name's Vivian Miller.
Mm-hmm.
When I got into real estate back home, this is 21, 22 years ago now, bought a real estate company, didn't even have a broker's
Oh,
license.
wow.
And I slid in under that law in North Carolina where you could get everything really quickly
Okay.
and then become broker in charge.
Mm.
So I did that. And Vivian had been in real estate for probably 30 years at that point.
Mm.
And she was per se my competitor
Yeah.
when I bought the company.
Yeah.
And she called me, first phone call probably. I mean, his first three
Sure.
for
Sure.
sure.
Yeah.
And she's like, Josh, I'm going to tell you something because I like you. I said, okay.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
she said, real estate's like a garden.
Mm.
And which I can relate to.
Sure.
I was raised in the country.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, tell me what you mean. She said, well, when you till up new ground, your first
Yeah.
crop is not always the best.
Yeah.
She's like, but the more you tend that garden and the longer you plant it,
Mm-hmm.
10 years, you're going to see a greater return, 20 years, greater return,
Yeah.
30 years, greater return. She said, but you cannot take a year off.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and I was
Yeah.
a little arrogant.
Sure.
In my early 20s. And I said, that's all you've got for me?
Mm.
And she's
Yeah.
like, that's more than you think it
Right.
is. and she was very true.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of wisdom in that because she said, you're going to have some years that are droughts.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have what we call bumper crops.
Right.
And
Right.
and she's like, you're going to have to learn how to manage all of that and continue to tend that garden.
Yeah.
And the key to that, again, has been relationships.
That's right.
Relationships have got me through those drought years.
Yeah.
Even, have made the bumper years greater.
Yeah.
But if you don't get in there and pull the weeds out, though,
Mm-hmm.
the weeds overtake you.
Yeah.
And I sound uneducated probably talking about a garden and
No,
business,
no.
but, I'm kind of old school and country.
No.
But
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody talks about networking,
Mhm.
and now like networking is a bad word.
Mhm.
So I think tilling a garden makes a lot of sense. I mean, most of my career, as we were talking about, it's been in these sort of 4 to 5 year increments, and we've up and moved states. I've had 11 addresses in the last 17 years.
Mhm.
But the greatest part about that, and I think really over the last 5 years, being in more of a mentor type of role,
Mhm.
I've been able to connect so many whether it's students, community members, to people that I worked with, 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And also I've worked in 6 different industries. So I've seen the patterns. It's just people. I
Mhm.
always say I was an
Mhm.
English major. I
Mhm.
read a lot of literature. That was the best foundation for me to be in business because I now understand characters,
Mhm.
I understand how they're motivated.
Mhm.
You put them into certain situations, and now you have some pattern recognition of how
Mhm.
they're going to react,
Mhm.
when they have certain stimuli. That's all literature is, and that's all business is.
Mhm.
And so if you approach that of what we are talking about before, of every time you meet somebody new is an opportunity to learn,
Mhm.
opportunity to build that relationship. And I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn and social media and other
Mhm.
things, but it has been the opportunity to kind of keep up with people
Mhm.
and to reach out to people, not in like a weird, cheesy way, only when you need something from them, but
Mhm.
to really stay on top of like what's going on in their life. And if
Mhm.
they have a milestone or they have a kid or they start a business or whatever, you can comment on that. You can reach
Mhm.
out to them. You can send them an email and say, "Oh, I just saw this thing here. This is so cool that you're doing this." Or if you have their phone number, text them.
Mhm.
I always, over the last several years, I don't remember where I heard it, but anytime I think of somebody or they come to mind and I'd have their number, I immediately text them
Mhm.
or immediately send them an email. Because as much as, everybody's just in their own head all the time, you're just thinking about yourself most of the time.
Mhm.
It's really lovely, I think, one, for me personally, just to be able to reach out and say, I'm just thinking about you today.
Mhm.
I hope you're doing well. And sometimes that turns into a 45-minute phone
Oh,
call.
yeah.
And sometimes it's a 2-second text that comes back, be like, oh, hey, what's up? Haven't heard from you in a
Mhm.
while. Just it kind of goes beyond the cookie cutter, Christmas card that you might send
Oh,
every
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And I don't know, people like to know that you're thinking about them,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but it's an easy, it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, I have my business card and I got to go to 18 events and
Mhm.
whatnot. It can be simpler of just sprinkling a little water on the garden
Oh, yeah.
or changing out a plant here and there.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have 4 raised beds in our backyard. So
Okay.
we're big
Yeah.
gardeners too. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the
Yeah.
metaphor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it doesn't need to be that hard or some arduous of a task. It can just be like really small acts of kindness or acts of thoughtfulness to
Mhm.
to help build that network over
Oh,
time.
yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, and I think that really gets to the core of, like I said, the areas that I like to call home and service.
Right.
I mean, the people, like I say, that's been easy, and I've been fortunate because the
Mhm.
people are just, and I say this all the time. North Carolina as a whole has been discovered,
Mm.
and I want you to hit on that a little,
Yeah.
especially from the businesses, because it seems like every day we're
Yeah.
getting an announcement of a new business coming to the state. And I think the people, not just in my 2 markets, but the whole state
That's right.
kinda embodies what we're describing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll answer this in a couple different parts. One, I always like to say that small businesses and entrepreneurship is 45% of our gross domestic product
Mhm.
is captured in small businesses in and around your community.
Mhm.
So while I love like all the larger companies come in, like they create jobs, and that is really important because
Mhm.
those jobs then give you discretionary income to go spend to the small businesses, et cetera. I love you know, capitalism is
Correct.
great as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Um, but I see today, even in a lot of my college students, they're so fixated on the marquee name. And I get it. I worked for Disney.
Mhm.
It's helpful to have, a lot of those brands on your resume,
Mhm.
but there's so much opportunity to, even if you don't want, you feel like, hey, I'm not ready to start a business, but go get involved in some of those smaller businesses.
Mhm.
And the government says at 50 employees, then you have to kind of
Mhm.
have things like a 401k and health benefits and all those other things. So I think some people have this kind of sort of skewed view because of what I call the celebritization of Silicon Valley,
Mhm.
that it's only tech and it's wheelie dealy and all this for startups. I'm like, there are small businesses that are starting every day that are creating jobs, that are creating value in your
Mhm.
community. Certainly here in North Carolina, I don't have all the stats off the top of my head, but new businesses being created every single day.
Mhm.
That's an opportunity to join as an employee.
Mhm.
You learn a heck of a lot going to work for a company. I worked for a company that was, maybe 40 employees when I was in Chicago. You wear all the hats, you do all the things,
Mhm.
from everything from making the coffee to taking the phone call from the Wall Street Journal, like, and
Mhm.
everything in between. So it's so important to, I think, show to people that there's an opportunity to, if you are service oriented, you want to give back to your community, even if you don't want to start a business, go join a small business.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're fortunate to have some of the best colleges and universities in the state.
Mhm.
It is generating so much innovation, intellectual property, talent that a lot of these big companies that are coming in, whether they're car manufacturers or healthcare companies or Eli Lilly just set up shop. I live
Mhm.
in Concord,
Mhm.
and started a massive facility there.
Mhm.
Or Red Bull is out there, or aviation, whatever it is. I think the attraction is there because we have the talent, because we have people who, again, are not super cutthroat. Like, they
Mhm.
wanna be collaborative and they wanna help each other, and our weather's pretty great.
It is great.
Right? You
Yep.
got the lake, you got the mountains, you got the ocean, like, whatever you want, you could pretty much get to within a 3-hour drive.
Mhm.
That is very rare.
It is.
So I'm 100% in on North
Oh,
Carolina
yeah.
because it has so many of the raw ingredients and the established, companies and schools and all of that where there's really a huge opportunity. I think here in Charlotte, and we did research a couple years ago with UNC Charlotte and the city to assess kind of the state of the entrepreneurial ecosystem
Mhm.
here, and we found all those things that I just mentioned. The number one thing that might be holding us back compared to, you look at the Research Triangle or up in
Mhm.
Raleigh, Durham, is connectivity with corporations.
Hmm.
And so the city of Charlotte, I think the perception is still that there's risk aversion. It's, heavily regulated industries, banking, healthcare, a lot of attorneys,
Mhm.
here, that there's not so much of this interest for corporations to go take a chance on a new vendor
Mhm.
or a new startup or whatnot, where that's an ingredient you do see in some of the larger, in San Francisco, Chicago, New York, even in Austin, Texas, which is kind of more up and coming. And so I
Mhm.
think that's where somewhere we really need to work on, and something we're thinking about is how do we help businesses, especially ones that are in the more B2B kind of lane,
Mhm.
how do we help prepare those businesses to go sell into those larger corporations? And then similarly, how can we work with all these amazing companies here in Charlotte to show the value of these startups? And again, that symbiotic relationship between jobs creation and supporting, local businesses,
Mhm.
improving schools, all of those things are kind of wrapped up together.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's a when you look at it on that scale,
Yeah.
it becomes complex.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, it is I mean, it seems so natural
Yeah.
here sometimes for me. It just seems like it's easy.
Yeah.
And even though it is, like, complex, like you said,
Yeah.
I mean, if I have to kinda keep it simple all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I just think, "Hey, wake up today,
Yeah.
do what you're good at,
Yeah.
treat your neighbor like you treat yourself,
Right.
and let everything else take care of itself."
Yeah.
And I think we're blessed that a large portion of our population
Yeah.
lives, breathes, and embodies that
Yeah.
fully.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's been so successful for the state as a whole too. I mean, even if I go back to the Mark Vanoys of the world,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
mean, he's no different than I am.
Mhm.
I mean, grew up in Jefferson, North Carolina.
Yeah.
You know, country people.
Mhm.
Largely, I mean, hugely successful.
Yeah.
And they build for Novant, they
Right.
build for Hendrick.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, Lowe's Hardware, Publix,
Yeah.
Ingles.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean, all these Dick's
Uh,
Sporting Goods, Bass and Cabela's,
yeah.
before they merged or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unique to see these little stories
Yeah.
created that
And that's what you're
started
saying.
from a
Yeah.
small roofing company.
Exactly.
A
Yeah.
local
Mhm.
mountain company.
Yeah.
Their daddy started a roofing company and they transitioned into
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah. And
And
all those big name brands that you just
yeah,
mentioned,
yeah.
gave them a chance at some point.
Oh, yeah.
At some
Yep.
point they had to have the first.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm really talking about is like
Mhm.
how can we get more of our local, big corporations
Mhm.
to support this? And they're doing great work. So many we've been very fortunate to have the support of companies like Truist and like Wells Fargo
Mhm.
and Train, that support the work that we're doing. And so I think it's just, we need to just to build that snowball needs
Correct.
to keep rolling
Yep.
downhill,
Yep.
where we have this very supportive ecosystem where those larger brands,
Oh,
are
yeah.
not just taking a chance, but they know the importance of investing.
Mhm.
in those smaller companies that really make everybody win
Oh,
at the end
yeah.
of the day.
Yeah,
So,
it does.
yeah.
So, before we came in,
Yeah.
you talked and we talked about music a little bit more with
Yeah.
Mike Orlando,
Yeah.
but you said that's a passion of yours.
Yes, it is. I've been a musician since I, was in the womb.
Mhm,
Basically, I don't remember a time. My entire family's musical. Grew up with it. Started playing piano when I was 4. Mostly trained in classical piano, and then when I was at Davidson, I had a chance encounter, literally first day of orientation, by this woman Kate Fiedler, who's
mhm.
still I see as my sort of guardian angel that just dropped this onto my lap. But she said, "Oh, you look like a girl who'd be really interested in concerts." I was like, "How did you know?" you know, and so she gave me my first chance at joining concert committee, running concert committee. So I ended up producing 30 concerts at Davidson. And again, the first concert I produced was Counting Crows.
Mhm,
It was a stupid amount of money. It was $50,000. This
mhm,
was 25 years ago, and I negotiated that contract from a hostel in Taos, New Mexico,
mhm.
because my best friend and I had taken a road trip that summer before my sophomore year, from St. Louis to Phoenix, and just because we thought it was a cool thing to do.
Mhm.
And I remember, I don't know if we had a car phone at that point. I mean, that was a long
Yeah,
time ago.
bag phone.
But bag phone,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
was, and yeah, I got the call from the routing agent, and negotiated that, and like I think faxed the contract to President Bobby Vaught at the time.
Mhm,
It was a whole host of things, but that really solidified my interest in the music industry
mhm,
and understanding the business of music. I've always been that kid of, like, I made mixtapes and sold them out of my locker,
mhm,
as a kid. I would always have, like, I remember Casey Kasem would go on the air on Sunday mornings
mhm,
when we would go to church, and I had this like dual cassette boom box where I'd hit record
mhm.
and then come back home, and it was like this gift
Oh,
of
yeah.
the America's Top 40. Like,
Yeah.
what happened that week? So as I said, I don't remember a time when I never had music in my life, but producing those shows at Davidson really gave me that interest in the music industry specifically. And then I went off and graduated Davidson, took other jobs, but have always had music in my life, whether I was playing music or going to shows, supporting bands in any way. And about 8 years ago, my husband and my kids gave me a guitar for my birthday or for Mother's Day. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
always wanted to be the girl playing the guitar.
Yeah.
Started taking lessons in our neighborhood in Chicago, which was literally, it was a music school above a dive bar in our
Mhm.
neighborhood. It was like really seedy, but shout out to the Friendly Tap because they were great people. And I had, started taking guitar lessons with my teacher, and he was so talented. He played like 7 instruments, on the road with Andrew Bird and all of these great artists like in the early 2000s. And I was like, I don't understand, like, how are you not, you know, super famous somewhere, and like
Mhm,
how does the music industry work in this way, because I didn't know. And that really started my time of just self-education. I'm a lifelong learner. I got this book that somebody told me about that's literally called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business.
okay.
I read that on the train going to work, learning about it. I read books about copyright law. I was like, oh man, like record deals, whew,
Mhm,
that's tricky.
mhm,
But just kind of dug into it, started listening to podcasts, all of this. Still was going to a bunch of shows in Chicago. And then when we moved here, I was on a stage at a conference speaking, and there was a guy in the audience, Rick Thurman,
mhm,
also a Davidson alum. And he came up to me, introduced himself, and we were talking about the Hurt Hub. And then we had lunch, and we started talking about our love of vinyl. I also collect
mhm,
vinyl, great record stores here in Charlotte.
mhm,
And he was like, I'm in charge of the kind of music policy here in Charlotte, and we're thinking about restarting this conference called Confluence.
mhm,
And at that point, and I was like, oh, okay, thought about it. He gave me um, a policy booklet, that he had. I took it home and I read it, and it was all about like the future of music in Charlotte and what they're trying to do with the music industry. And I said to my husband, I'm like, I need to be all in on this. I
mhm,
don't know what that looks like, but I need to be all in on this. I sent an email to Rick and said, I've been producing events for like 25 years. Here's my skill set. Would do this in a volunteer capacity because I clearly have a day job at the
mhm,
Herd Hub. Put me in, coach. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And
mhm,
that was 3 years ago. And we restarted Confluence. And our intent is to be the premier conference in the Southeast for music.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're competing with Nashville and other big music centers, but we really wanted to focus on the Carolinas and what could we bring the music industry together, not from a professional standpoint, day-to-day people working at record labels or venues or marketing, publicists, all that, but also independent artists,
Mm-hmm.
and give them a way to have sort of education and professional development during the day, but then play a show in the evening at all these independent venues, which are amazing
Oh, yeah.
across Charlotte.
Yeah.
So that has really blossomed into an amazing conference. We just wrapped it up back in October. We'll have it this coming October again. So mark your calendars,
Mm-hmm.
second week of October. But it has been a way for us to bring people to Charlotte that have never been here. Industry professionals. This past year, we had the president of the Grammys. We had John Huey, who's a Davidson alum, who started the Creative Artist Agency in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Just like across the board, amazing speakers. And then at night, you get to kind of bar hop and see everything from hip hop and jazz to indie rock to more like punk rock and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I'm bullish on it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it. And then during at night, I'm building a family band with my kids. So my
Awesome.
my kids now play 5 instruments between the two of them. My husband plays piano. We've got a whole room just dedicated to
Yeah.
music in our house. So yes. So
Do you do YouTube videos?
no, not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
We need to see some
I
of
know,
those.
I know, I
Yeah.
know, I know.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
It'll be Brady Brunch style at some
Yeah.
point, like get in there. But it's been really one of my personal joys to be able to give that gift to my
Mhm.
children and to jam with them and to sing with them, and it's really awesome. So
Music is awesome.
yes,
I love it. And
Yeah.
I like it because a lot of music, especially, I mean, songs tell a story.
absolutely.
If you actually listen to the
Yes.
words versus,
Yeah.
and some, music varies
Yeah.
like life.
Yeah.
But I mean, some songs tell fabulous stories.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I love it. But I mean, the artists I'm drawn to the most are the ones it's either the original writer singing,
Yeah.
or an original songwriters,
Yeah.
and just following
Yeah.
the songs that they write,
Yeah.
no matter who sings it. I
Right.
mean, it's like the stories are just amazing. But the folks that sing about their life,
Yeah.
I mean, one that comes to mind to me right off bat's James Taylor.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Amazing North Carolina.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's amazing. But that type of Eric Church,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's one of the newer ones,
Sure.
that I think writes a lot of his own stuff, and it's a story
Yeah.
inside a song.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Dolly Parton.
Oh,
Can't
yeah,
really,
yeah,
like,
Dolly,
right,
yeah.
right,
I mean,
yeah.
I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I've always loved music. I wish that I was more talented than I am when it comes to playing.
There's time.
Yeah.
There's time. Just
Yeah,
go get a
45,
guitar.
I can go do it.
You're good.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I can't play Free Falling.
Okay. There you go. I mean, Tom Petty.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
wants Tom Petty
I
around the
know.
campfire. You're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
You're good.
That was my go-to when
Yeah.
we were around the campfire. But
Yeah.
so I play a little guitar, but not great at all. I mean, I enjoy it, but
Yeah.
I like hearing somebody else more so than myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so the music in that conference is something that I'm intrigued about.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like put the cart in front of a horse,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think that there may be some connections there that I have that may be able to,
It would be amazing.
yeah, I would love
Yeah.
to do it. But
I always say I know
see if
no
it works.
strangers. I
Yeah.
will not turn down any conversation,
yep,
so
yep.
yeah.
But anyhow, back to Davidson, or if you've got
Sure.
questions for me, I mean, feel free to ask away
Yeah.
because again, I was alerted by Robbie
Yeah.
before this podcast. Liz is way smarter than you.
No.
And I feel like when I was sitting down with Bob, like kind of unqualified to be sitting here
no.
having a conversation. But anyhow, Davidson,
Yeah.
family, personal life.
Yeah.
Tell me something personal.
Oh, wow.
Why you love Davidson? Why it's
What
important
a-
to your family? Like the things
Oh,
that
man.
you cherish the most.
Yeah.
Off of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Davidson again has been in my life longer than it hasn't.
Mhm.
At this point, if I'm doing the math correctly. Uh and it's so interesting. I think like anywhere that I've ever been, I've always been the poster child for Davidson. I've run every single alumni chapter in every city that we've lived in. I've fundraised. I've been on board of visitors, alumni association board now,
Mhm.
converted all my chips to be
Mhm.
staff. But I think going back to the people, I mean, I already told you about Dean Terry. Randy Nelson was my English major advisor. I still have coffee with him monthly.
Mhm.
From the time I graduated up until coming back so I could actually see him in person, we exchanged emails at least every single month. I mean, you talk about mentor of mentors. He's like my second dad. Um, I I can't say enough about the faculty and the staff at Davidson where I almost get choked up thinking about it. One of my other English professors literally saved my best friend's life. She was
Mhm.
going through a lot of very difficult health situations at the time and stepped in and got her the treatment that she needed. Um, they really care. Like
Mhm.
went to University of Michigan, love University of Michigan for grad school.
Mhm.
Going to a school with 60,000 students or whatever it
Mhm.
is quite different from being at a place like Davidson, where when I was a student, and I know this still happens, you went to dinner at all of your professors' houses at the end of the semester.
Mhm.
You knew their kids. You knew what was going on in their lives. Now I'm very fortunate that some of the faculty members that I had as a student are still at Davidson because of tenure,
Mhm.
and I can go and sit on their porch and have a sweet tea with them,
Mhm. Mhm.
or go for a walk on the cross country trails. And it's these people who I've known for so long that they are truly my family.
Mhm.
I don't know that there's any other place in the world,
Yeah.
that fosters that, and that the faculty and staff are there because they want to be there, because they believe in the students, because they believe in our community. And I think maybe Katie Kindred said this on your podcast before, people show up.
Mhm.
If it's a random, we do all sorts of art shows
Oh,
at,
yeah.
at the Hurt Hub. We do faculty and staff art shows. People will come in droves,
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
you're saying, all right, I'm going to put on a concert, or I'm testing out this new idea. People show up.
Mhm.
And it is, like I said, I've lived in Portland, Oregon, LA, Chicago, Washington, DC, St. Louis, Paris, all these other places. Never have I been in a community like Davidson
Mhm.
that is so tight knit. And sometimes, people know your business,
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
small town. But on the whole, people are going to show up, people care, and it's genuine. It's
Mhm.
not a like, ooh, who's doing what or
Mhm.
whatever. So there's just no place like it. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I'm curious why you chose Davidson. Did you feel that when you were looking around?
To be honest, this is a crazy story,
Yeah.
but, from the high country, and Helene hit,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, my wife, she's a teacher by trade.
Okay.
Our oldest child, she homeschooled both of our children until just recently,
Okay.
but our oldest is 18.
Okay.
He was homeschooled until he got accepted at North Carolina School of Science and Math.
Oh, amazing. Wow.
So, he spent his junior and senior year at their Morganton campus.
Okay.
So, he was already kinda out of the house.
Yeah.
And my youngest son, my oldest son is not like me when it comes to education. He
Okay.
he he loves it, thrives in it.
Okay.
Graduated from NCSSM with
Wow.
5.0.
Oof.
I mean, which
Super
I didn't
impressive.
know was possible.
Yeah,
And,
amazing.
I
Amazing.
strived for a 3.2 and I was happy,
Yeah.
I didn't really strive, but
Yeah.
I was happy with the
Yeah, yeah.
3.2.
Yeah.
My youngest child and my wife, just prior to Helene, she had started teaching
Mm.
again
Okay.
because my youngest was like, I love you as a mama, but not as a teacher.
Okay. Sure.
And he wanted more of the social interaction, the sports,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, not all the school,
Yeah, yeah,
but,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
it wanted
Sure.
a part of a larger community.
Yeah.
And he's the kid that's still like, why do I go to school? I mean,
Yeah.
he's at
Yeah, yeah.
Davidson Day now,
Okay.
and just
Yeah,
got
yeah.
off a Thanksgiving break.
Nice.
And he's like, oh, I'll go back to jail today.
No. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
different mindset, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Helene hit. And obviously, we know what that did to the area
Yeah.
of Western North Carolina. I knew personally, for me, business was going to be slower.
Yeah.
I mean, rebuilding,
Sure.
we are open now
Yeah.
and we've made a lot of progress. But I'd say by next year, hopefully,
Yeah.
we're hitting on all gears again.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew my work was going to be a little slower. And my wife was out of work. My child was out of school.
Yeah.
So we kind of had a family meeting like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
And my first go to always prayer.
Yeah,
I said,
sure.
well, let's pray first.
Mhm.
And, I said, honey, you pray and ask on your own.
Right. Yep.
I'll
Right.
pray and ask on my own.
Right.
And, we'll collaborate. So about a week went by and I said, have you been praying, asking? And she's like, yeah.
Mm.
She said, and I was like, well, what'd you hear? And I said, wait, before you tell me, I'm gonna and I got my iPhone and I put what I'd heard
Sure, sure.
in my iPhone. And I said, all right, tell me what you heard. She said, move. I flipped my phone over and it
Mm.
still gives me chills. And it was move.
Move, yeah.
So logically, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
we can do that. But I mean, it needs to kind of be educated.
Right.
I mean, when I was
Yeah.
20,
Sure.
I'd have been like, well, where you
Pick
want
up
to
and
go?
where we go. Yeah, yeah. That's
But
fine. Yeah.
I being in the high country, so many people that come there and purchase real estate, they're buying second, third,
Sure.
fourth home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's more of a destination vacation
Right.
place.
Yeah.
It's not people are moving to work.
Yeah.
They're either retiring or vacationing.
Right, right.
A lot of my clients are from the North Charlotte market,
Oh, okay.
and also Raleigh, Durham, Wilmington,
Yeah.
those areas.
Yeah.
And, a lot of my clients had asked me in the past, you need to open an office, in these different markets too. It just makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, we would use you. We've got friends that use you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
grow your business.
Right.
Until Helene, I had not had time
Mm.
to do that. So that gave me the opportunity, wife being out of work, son being out of school,
Right.
seemed like the stars aligned, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of said, okay, where are we going?
Yeah.
And we literally just got in the car. And we were like, we'll just go visit
Mm.
places. And, I've been coming to Charlotte my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, when we would come to Charlotte, you didn't feel like you were getting to the city until you got to maybe Harris Boulevard.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you kind of start to see development.
Yeah.
But it was all just
Yeah.
cattle fields and
Yeah.
farms and
Yeah.
nothing.
Right.
Not even gas stations.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but if we came down for a Panthers game or a concert or whatnot, we would always stay at the Homewood Suites
Oh, sure.
there in Davidson, which has been there for some time.
Yeah, maybe a decade or so now, I think at this
At
point.
least 10 years,
Yeah.
because I know we were coming when the boys were little.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, my kids are 18 and 15 now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have pictures of them on the pull-out sofa.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
my youngest is probably 4 or 5.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Yeah.
11 years
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah,
least.
yeah, yeah.
But we wanted to be just far enough out of the city, but
Yeah.
close enough to get up, make an easy trip back
Right.
home too, which
Right.
it's not a long trip, but
Yeah,
with
yeah.
children.
Right.
You know
No,
how that
I know how that is. Yes.
So-
Yes.
But so we'd always stayed in Davidson, but we actually started in first spot we stopped was Lincolnton.
Oh, sure.
And the reason we went there is because a young woman who I went to real estate school with,
Mm.
she is in Lincolnton, and she's like, you ought to come to Lincolnton.
Mm.
You're close enough to the city and
Yeah.
your country, and
Right. Yeah.
you'll like it. You'll feel at home.
Yeah.
So we drove through Lincolnton, stopped, had lunch, and my
Yeah.
wife, she's like, Josh, I'm not moving from where we're at to Lincolnton.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
against Lincolnton, but this isn't it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, well, all right, we're here. Let's go on into Charlotte, hang
Yeah.
out, spend the day.
Yeah.
We never made it to Charlotte.
Okay.
Got off at our normal Davidson stop
Yeah.
and just driving around. And we didn't make it past Beatty Street,
Mm.
on Griffith.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And my wife said, this is it.
Mm.
And I was like, you think? She's like, oh, yeah. She's like, let's go looking at houses.
Nice.
I was like, all right.
Love
so
it.
literally we drove through town, spent the day in town, drove by several homes.
Yeah.
Actually contacted some brokers that I was like, hey, show me
Yeah.
what's here. Then did a little research on our own.
Yeah.
Ended up in a place there off of Amalfi,
Oh,
right
sure.
at the upper campus of
Yeah.
CSD.
Yeah.
Moved in last October and
It's great.
didn't even rent.
Yeah.
Bought the place. Like,
Nice.
I mean, walked into the place, knew
Yeah.
it was right for what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Did not know where Caleb would end up for school.
Yeah.
But I mean, ended up right down the road. He can walk to school if he
Yeah.
wants to.
Yeah. Yeah.
My office is in downtown. Wife's at CSD at the lower campus.
Oh,
I
fantastic.
mean, we all could walk
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
work or to
Yeah.
school or whatnot.
Yeah.
But so that's how we got here. I mean, short answer is God,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Sure.
And I tell people, if I thought I had 10 connections, I ended up with 150, like I told
Right.
you
Exactly.
already.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the world, and I don't know, you probably know the dates on this and who said it to
Mm.
begin with, is in the 60s, they said everybody's just not connected by 6 people,
Oh, yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Or,
The 6 degrees of
yeah,
Kevin
6
Bacon that
degrees.
eventually
Yeah.
became yeah.
Now I think that's way less,
Yeah.
and I think it is due to how accessible we are,
Yeah.
which is a blessing and a curse, which
Yeah.
you kinda talked
Right, sure,
about.
yeah.
But literally every person I've met,
Mhm.
if I didn't already know them, it's been like one person removed.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamie Justice,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
knew the town manager and
Mhm.
one of the local families in downtown West Jefferson, had no clue.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the friends, I made a post
Uh-huh.
on Facebook,
Yeah.
"Hey, moved to Davidson, opening a sister office."
Yeah.
A friend of mine who actually married somehow into Jamie's family
Okay.
messages me immediately and is like, "Hey, the town manager of Davidson just hit me and said he'd do anything in the world to help you." And I was like, "How do
Amazing.
you know the town manager?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "Well, I'm married into the family somehow," and,
Right.
just weird things like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Robbie Shaw.
Yeah.
Robbie's one of the first guys I met here in Charlotte, and Robbie, if you
Yeah.
I mean,
You know,
Robbie
so
had you on his podcast, and he's
yeah.
like, "Josh, have you met Liz yet?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You gotta have her on telling our stories," and he wasn't
Yeah.
the only one.
Oh, I
But
appreciate you
like
saying
once
that. Yeah.
he helped set up for the Davidson College,
Yeah.
shoots with Bob and Chris and
Yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
and he's like, "You got to get Liz
Yeah.
like now." And he's like, "I'll make the connection." And it's funny,
Yeah.
like immediately after I left, I just
Just
sent you a little
texted, yeah.
text or
Yeah.
something, and I said, "Hey, Liz is gonna come on. We need
Yeah.
to get it booked." He's like, "You need me to reach out?" I was like, "No,
No,
I already
we're
reached
good.
out."
We're good here.
And he's
It's
like,
fine.
"Wow, that's small. Did she know
Yeah.
you?" I
I
was
was
like,
like,
"No."
"No. No."
But anyhow, it's just been really refreshing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in business a long time. I consider it a long time now.
Sure.
Doing what I do, and the genuineness and the intentional, like,
Yeah.
and Kim embodies this so
Yeah.
well. I
Yeah.
mean, I keep going back to her. I mean, she's so genuine, so intentional, so thoughtful. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And you're the same way.
Oh, thank
Now,
you. I
after
appreciate that.
sitting
Yeah.
down with you, I'm
Yeah.
like, geez, I don't know why I didn't meet you until now. I mean, I'm kind of like, I should have went in
Well, now
immediately
you
and met
can.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, now
yeah.
you can yeah, because a lot of people walk by obviously, you go into a brick house, you're getting
Hmm.
beers or pizza or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and we're across the street, and, we're working on rebranding right now, and so that's part of but making sure that we're welcoming people in and from the outside,
Hmm.
what's going on there, really trying to increase our outreach, and have even more community events, but
Hmm.
like we were saying before with the garden, it's been 5 years, since I've taken this position, and every year we're meeting new people. Every year we're making new connections. Every year, now we've had enough time, which is so awesome that we have students or alums like Andrew Asher, who's the
Hmm.
CEO of Lucid Bots. He started that business at the
Okay.
Herd Hub.
All right.
Now there's been enough time, and he's employing 80 people in Charlotte, manufacturing robots here.
Hmm.
He's hiring Davidson alums now, and so that flywheel, is starting to kind of
Hmm.
take effect a little bit. But all the connections that we see of there are, community organizations like Davidson Housing Coalition that has an office at the Herd Hub.
Hmm.
Well, they've partnered with other software developers inside the Herd Hub to work on different community projects together or supporting some of their residents who need computer help. And like those things just happen every day. And so
Hmm.
much of it I don't even see, because it's
Hmm.
just happening naturally.
Hmm.
That it's been so wonderful. Now we're at a size that we feel like, okay, we're truly that hub, and all these spokes are kind of coming out
Oh yeah.
of it and into Charlotte. And
Hmm.
that's where we're trying to really bridge that gap of like 77. I get it.
Hmm.
I've lived in LA and
Hmm.
Chicago though. This is not
No,
traffic.
yeah,
This
no
is,
comparison.
it's like,
Yeah.
y'all hop on the toll lane, or like hopefully we get this red line soon.
Yep.
Get on the
Oh yeah.
train, or come on up. Because the distance is
It's
not that
minimal.
far.
Yeah, minimal.
So I'm hoping that, especially for as you grow your business,
Hmm.
that we have more people, coming into Davidson, and we have people going into Charlotte, and the exchange of ideas and new possibilities
Oh, yeah.
of making these connections.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's, and we've already had some of that. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, my first clients down here moved from South Charlotte to Davidson.
Oh, fantastic.
And
Yeah.
they had bought in South Charlotte when you
Yeah.
could buy a house for 200,000,
Right. Yeah.
and you sell now and it's 2 million.
Right.
And
Exactly.
they're like, and they work in Huntersville,
Oh,
have a place in the mountains as well,
there you
which
go.
I did not know until
Yeah.
we were doing the transaction for the home in Davidson.
Yeah.
But have a house in Roaring Gap
Oh,
on the Old
sure.
Bow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, things like that. Even with Bob McKillop,
Yeah.
I didn't know his high school coaching history
Oh, yeah.
and him coaching against
Yeah.
Coach Steve Smith, who's a
Yeah.
good friend of
Remember you
mine from
mentioned
Oak
that.
Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, the world is so small.
It's very
And I
small.
mean, and I said this in another episode, I said, good people find good people.
Oh, yeah. All the
And
time.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. And
Yes.
yeah, just
Yeah.
amazing. I
That
mean, but we are growing. And this is a conversation I have with Kim and Jamie on that
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
I mean, with growth comes a lot of responsibility,
That's right.
and managing that growth and doing it intentionally
Yeah.
is like so key. And I think that's been why Davidson has been so successful.
Yeah.
Honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard some people say, oh, there's too many restrictions,
Yeah. Yeah.
too
Yeah.
much oversight, all this stuff. But
Yeah.
hey, it wouldn't be what it is without that.
That's right.
I mean, and you don't want to lose the fabric that's there.
Yeah. I remember when the CVS came into
Mhm.
town, because when I started at Davidson, it was one stoplight. You came off exit 30, and the only thing there was that Harris Teeter gas station, which Harris Teeter wasn't even there.
Mhm.
It was just the gas station, and nothing. Community school Davidson was there, and that little Spinnaker Cove kind of
Mhm.
neighborhood was over there. But you pulled in, and it was just the college and like Rayford's barbershop and
Mhm.
soda shop, and where Flatiron now used to be a mechanic shop.
Mhm.
There wasn't much of anything,
Yeah.
and now yes, people are like, oh, there's so much traffic and growth and all that, and it's been good. But I think what you said is there's been intentionality about preserving the facades of the buildings and
Mhm.
what it looks like, and preserving things like Christmas in Davidson, which
Mhm.
Kim runs.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a student, we used to gather right before Christmas in Davidson, and there was a candlelight, like Christmas carol and hot chocolate ceremony, and like Santa and Mrs. Claus would rappel off the top of the off the top of Chambers. And to this day, those are some of my like best memories
Uh-huh.
of Davidson, and it's tradition, but with innovation and with
Correct.
the mindset. You spoke about it before, of this abundance mindset. We talk about growth mindset
Mhm.
of there's failure is not final.
Mhm.
There's always opportunity to learn and to grow, and that's really what I think the town is fostering, but in a responsible way.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you
Yes.
on today.
Thank you for having me. This is
Thank you for
great.
coming
Yeah.
and sharing your thoughts and insight. And listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this. Liz, if you don't know her, call her, get to know her. She's amazing.
Thank
Run
you.
by the Hub. Come visit Davidson, Charlotte. We'd love to have you. If you've enjoyed this episode of Telling Our Stories, you know what to do. I think it's like, share, subscribe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But anyhow, we appreciate all of you. Liz, again, thank you.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for upcoming episodes of Telling Our Stories, and have a great day. Thank you. Thanks for joining this episode of Telling Our Stories. We hope you enjoyed today's show and episode. Please feel free to share with somebody that you think may enjoy it. Also, like, subscribe, and share away. We've got more episodes coming in the future. Thanks again for joining us today.